All right. You can see our competitors there on stage. Of course, on the left there, that's Nikolai Zielinski from the United States. And on the right, Mark Mcquillan from the United Kingdom. Let's hear it one more time for both of these trainers. Such a huge accomplishment to make it this far. Scott, let's talk a little bit about these team matchups. You already mentioned on Mark's side that Lapras might come out huge for him in this play. We also see the Staraptor, one of my favorite Pokemon as well, potentially able to put some pressure on early. How do you think this will shake out, even from that all-important turn one?
Yeah, well, I think what he's going to, or well, at least what Mark's going to need to do here is try to find a way to make that Kangaskhan do some damage. Certainly one of the most influential Pokemon in this metagame, a Kangaskhan. What you really need to do with it is to try to deal with your opponent's checks. You know, at this point in a tournament, there's going to be lots of options to deal with it. Garchomp, Aegislash, Gyarados among the most common and effective. So those are all going to be problems he's going to have to deal with here. But what he really needs to do is just find ways to get that Kangaskhan free, to get some damage off. If it gets controlled, it's going to be very difficult for him to win. He doesn't have a whole lot of big attackers on his team. But if that Kangaskhan does get a couple power-up punches, even a couple uncontested returns, he quickly start knocking some holes into Nikolai's team and get him a victory here. I do say that Nikolai, probably based on Hayden's advice, looks like he has the advantage here. What I learned is that you're supposed to have fun, and he certainly looked like he was having more fun on stage here. However, this team matchup is going to be a little bit trickier for him. I believe he had the Venusaur as his Mega, so he's going to have a harder time trying to deal with that Kangaskhan. One issue with Venusaur is that it walls most of the metagame really well. A powerful defensive Pokemon, especially against special attackers, doesn't have very many weaknesses other than Poison type being able to be exploitable a little bit by Gardevoir, which is fortunately not going to be in this match. No Fairy types from Mark's team. He does have Staraptor, that flying type, so that's going to be a big deal once again. But Venusaur doesn't really like Kangaskhan. It does a whole lot of physical damage. It does enough to kind of burst through Venusaur's healing if it has something like Synthesis, which this Venusaur does. So he's definitely going to need to be careful here. Make sure that he can either not use his Mega or defend it very well, because it's going to have a harder time here. That Lapras also has 3 targets that he can hit for super effective damage with Ice-type moves, and Gyarados, who's weak to Freeze Dry. So definitely something that is going to be an issue here for Nikolai. He's going to have to control that Lapras really carefully.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have to see how that's going to work out for Nikolai. Players are about to hop into game after team preview here, and we are about to see the first turn. Let's hear it for both of these players once again as we head right into the game. You can see Mark on the top of your screen. Nikolai is going to be on the bottom of your screen. We do see Gengar and Garchomp showing up on the side for Nikolai Zielinski, up against Mark Mcquillan's Kangaskhan and Staraptor on the field. Staraptor making a presence from the start, as well as that Kangaskhan.
So it is Gengar here. Sorry for some misinformation in the preview. It looks like we not seeing quite the team we expected here, but we do have Staraptor out here. And Kangaskhan, like we mentioned before, pretty much the same things are still true. Staraptor needs to try to find ways to break through this team, give some room for Kangaskhan. Gengar probably going to try to stop doing that, depending on whether or not it's a Mega Gengar. If it isn't a Mega, it's able to use that Will-O-Wisp more frequently, try to play defensively, often carries Focus Sash. Makes it hard for Kangaskhan to do damage, since as a normal-type Pokemon, it can't hit Ghost types. If it's a Mega Gengar, it's a little bit different. It's going for that trap mode, so it'll be important for Mark here to play this carefully. Try not to get Kangaskhan in a position where either it's trapped and can't do much damage to either the active Pokemon, or burned, which really reduces the damage it can do. And that's a big part of that Kangaskhan control game, and making sure Kangaskhan gets those attacks not hampered by a burn, by Intimidate, or by any other form of attack reduction.
Looks like Mark does not want to leave that Staraptor out on the field. Is going to switch out for his own Garchomp. Actually, Garchomp, the most popular Pokemon on the field that we've seen so far. Most people were expecting Mega Kangaskhan. But it looks like Nikolai going to go with that double protect strategy from the Gengar and the Garchomp, so that Kangaskhan can't fake it out. Of course, Kangaskhan does have that scrappy ability before it Mega Evolves, so could have also threatened that Gengar, as it chose to do here.
Yeah, nice play there with that fake out. By not Mega Evolving, it's able to get that fake out off, prevent a burn without switching. Likely, you carrying that fake out, Kangaskhan doesn't always, or almost never carries Protect in addition to fake out. This one definitely doesn't. So he's able to do that to stop that Gengar from getting a probable burn off, get a switch in to get in a better position. Now, if he's afraid of that burn, he can switch this turn, but either bring the previous Pokemon back in, which you might want to do. He's trying to use Final Gambit rather than attack. The burn's not going to be too huge of a deal. But it looks like Garchomp is switching first.
Yep, Nikolai is going to switch out his own Garchomp in favor of Mawile. So Mawile now out on the field, getting that Intimidate off onto both the Kangaskhan and Garchomp. That's going to be pretty huge. Both of those physical attackers aren't going to want to lose that attack. But of course, Garchomp is going to get a Dragon Claw off onto the Gengar. And Kangaskhan still deciding not to Mega Evolve so it can keep it Scrappy, and is going to go ahead and do the return onto Gengar. The Trick Room, though, twisting the dimensions. Fast Trick Room. I haven't seen that since 2010.
Yeah, it was a Mewtwo then in the Masters division, so kind of cool to see something harken back to that strategy there. Gengar definitely not something you expect Trick Room from. Like I mentioned before, usually just a really fast Focus Sash, burn support set, or a Mega, but this is something completely different. We do see the Maw coming in here, likely the Mega on that side of the field. One of the natural counters of Kangaskhan as well. We've seen a lot of Maw doing well this weekend, and it was sort of that battle all season between Kangaskhan and the Megas to do well against it. And it looks like Kangaskhan's actually been losing that battle this weekend.
And it looks like that we are going to see another switch on the side of Mark's side. Going to go ahead and put in the Aegislash, trying to keep it slow so that he can abuse that Trick Room that Nikolai set up. But we do see Mawile Mega evolving right away. Of course, Mawile's weakness is its speed. But of course, in Trick Room, now it can use its pure power, its huge ability to break holes in his opponent's team to full effect. Of course, Kangaskhan also going to go ahead and Mega Evolve, but the Sucker Punch is going to fail, trying to target that Gengar, but Iron Head coming off from the Mawile. Oh! Does get some good damage onto Kangaskhan with that Iron Head, but the Will-O-Wisp missing is huge.
Yeah, it's a big deal there. The Kangaskhan now does have a chance to retreat and still do some damage later in the battle. Getting that low is still a big problem, likely to be in Sucker Punch range from Mawile. So even if Trick Room expires, it's not going to get a whole lot done here. Getting Aegislash out here will help for some counterplay on Mark's side here. Definitely not something Mawile likes playing against very much. The standard set can't hit it very effectively unless it's attacking, and Aegislash always carries Substitute to block that. So a better spot for him now. But Kangaskhan here, in spite of dodging the burn, still very low in health, still much slower than the Maw because of a Trick Room. Not a good spot here, and there's not a whole lot of safe switches on his team for that Maw. You know, an Iron Head or a Play Rough aimed at that slot could easily knock out one of his back Pokemon. Staraptor, not very useful after it takes damage, so tough spot for him here.
Definitely. We do see Nikolai is going to retreat that Gengar in favor of his Wash Rotom. Out on the field, the Sucker Punch again failing, trying to target that Gengar, but the Aegislash is going to go ahead and do that substitute hide behind the plush doll there, as Iron Head's going to get the first KO here, going to get the KO on Mega Kangaskhan, so one Mega down on the side from Mark Mcquillan, and Nikolai still has his.
Yeah, that's definitely very bad on Mark's end. As I mentioned before, a big part of these matchups when you have Kangaskhan is kind of the balance between trying to get your Kangaskhan carried away while the other side tries to stop yours. And there's been basically no damage done to Nikolai's side of the field. The Kangaskhan is already knocked out, and the only advantage that Mark's been able to get from is getting that substitute up on Aegislash. Definitely not a spot he wants to be in here, so he's going to have to play very careful from this point on. Garchomp out now, but he has to worry about that Play Rough from Mawile. Likely to see a Protect from it here, but he's going to have to find an opportunity to get an attack off. Trick Room, really a big issue here. If it gets reset, the game's basically over, so he's going to have to be careful to stay in position to stop Gengar once it comes back in as well.
Yeah, you can see Mark definitely feeling like he's on the back foot, choosing to go with that defensive play, the King Shield from Mawile. Not going to protect the Garchomp, though, so Mega Mawile is going to get another free KO. And Garchomp going down so easily to that Play Rough from Mawile.
Yeah, that's a tough play there. I actually don't mind that play by Mark, even though it doesn't work out there. I know it looks kind of foolish just to give up the Garchomp for free, but like I mentioned, the first read there is that Garchomp's probably going to protect. It knows that Mawile is likely to play rough it. When you're behind in a game like this, sometimes you have to take some risks to try to get back in the game. He went for that there and it didn't pay off, but with this Staraptor coming in here, it's a Pokemon that trades 1-for-1 very well, but doesn't do any better than that very well. So it's not like you can just bring that in later and sweep with it, right? Like you need to kind of get the score closer to really have a shot there. So he didn't have much choice but to gamble, and even though it didn't pay off for him, I think it was probably his best chance to try to get back in this game.
Yeah, and we do see that Mark is going to finally go on the offensive as that Aegislash is going to go ahead and switch into its Blade form. With that Shadow Ball is going to be targeted at the Mawile, deciding that he finally needs to have an answer for this Mega Mawile. Deals some really good damage there, but maybe a little bit too late. Iron Head on that Staraptor doesn't deal that much damage, only about 50%, but the Thunderbolt from Wash Rotom is going to be able to pick up that KO. A critical hit, that's just gravy on top.
Yeah, a decisive win for Nikolai in this game, it looks like. He's got that 4-1 lead now. Aegislash might be able to stall it out for a little bit, but against 4 Pokemon, there's just not much you can do. We see Trick Room finally expiring here, but the damage has definitely been done. Mark has a faster team here. He's got that Staraptor, which, like most Staraptor, is a Choice Scarf set. He's got the option of either using Brave Bird or Final Gambit. So, he wants that speed, Garchomp very fast, Kangaskhan quick. Having Trick Room switching the speeds like that, just really tough for him to deal with.
Yeah, and now he's faced with only his Aegislash out on the field, the slowest Pokemon on his team. Still going to play defensive, just try to stall this one out as much as possible. King Shield coming out to prevent any damage from Nikolai's side this turn. Of course, with that substitute and the ability to stance using that King Shield alongside the substitute, relatively safe. Leftovers will keep him full health, but against four Pokemon, like you mentioned, it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, I mean, just the combination of Earthquake and Thunderbolt, or even a Will-O-Wisp here, which after knocking out that substitute would really reduce the or any value of trying to stall at the leftovers, will end the game here. And we do see the forfeit.
Yeah,
really impressive Game 1 victory there by Nikolai.
Yep, Mark definitely identifying he did not have a win.